And hi, I'm Mr. Harris, the host of Mr. Harris RYC podcast. I told y'all I'm back. I ain't going nowhere. We're going to keep this going and going and going. We're going to be talking about STEM. So if you know anybody who teaches STEM, is about STEM, want to do STEM, don't know what STEM is, call them up and tell them to tune in right now to the show. Be right back. I'm going to be talking about STEM.
Welcome to the Mr. Harris Show. 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 It's called The Journey.
And we're back, Mr. Harris. Listen, if you haven't gotten a chance, matter of fact, I want you to drop it in the lower third, Ricky. I do a YouTube page, a reaction videos called Mr. Harris RYC. Got about 55,000 subscribers and climbing, so please support that. But this show right here is called The Journey. So earlier I said Mr. Harris RYC podcast, but it's called The Journey, and it's all about life's journey and the people that I meet within my journey and the things that I do within life's journey. But we're back here today to talk about STEM. And so I have two guests. For you guys, they're friends of mine and they work here at Renaissance Youth Center. If we can just give a hand for Rohit Unnam.
That's right.
Oh! And Paul Bravo is in the house as well. Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am the STEM program manager here at Renaissance Youth Center. I am also a teacher educator for a school in the Bronx, middle school. I teach grades 6, 7, and 8. I teach coding, robotics, and aviation.
Absolutely. And can you reintroduce yourself to the audience?
My name is Rohit Unnam. I'm the Director of STEM Education here at RYC.
Yes, he's a repeat offender. I had him on the last show. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, check it out. I just want to say about both of these gentlemen, I met you. You've been now here about...
Over a year.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's over a year. So on my journey, I was always looking for someone who just knew a lot about STEM, not just one area. And you checked a lot of boxes for me. He also has a way with young people, and he's project oriented. So we're happy to have you on the team. Paul, I've actually known you longer than I've known him.
Yes, sir.
You know, when I was looking and trying to do STEM here at Renaissance, you were one of the first people that I met that came in and got the party started. And then, you know, we lost contact with each other, but now we're back. And so what he's going to be helping us do is how to branch this out into other schools. So let me plug that right now. So if you're in the if you're in the Bronx, that was prophecy right there. If you're in the Bronx area and you're looking to have some levels of STEM in your school, that's going to be the gentleman that you're going to reach out to, or you just reach out directly to me. All right. Let me start here, because some people might think I'm talking about a plant. What is STEM?
All right, so basic science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? When we take a look at STEM, I know it's a little bit intimidating. I'll give you the best example that I introduce STEM to my students through coding is by understanding, right? So the more we understand life, the easier life gets, in my opinion. And so one of the first questions I always ask my students is, does anybody know the definition of coding? What is the true definition of coding? Because if we can start there and we can understand that, then I think that we can get away from those binary pictures that we see with the ones and zeros popping up and you don't know what means what. So obviously, you know, you're going to have hands raised and students will say programming and doing this and a password, and literally coding is the way that we communicate with computers.
Okay.
That's the definition of coding.
Okay, say that again.
The definition of coding is the way that humans communicate with computers. So I'll give you a great example. Right now, you and I are communicating through speech. We are using a language to speak to one another. That language is English. So computers understand different languages for different applications. And so in the works of, in the journey on learning how to code, we learn about all of these different languages, and we start off with an introduction through coding and with block coding. And I think that that's the most simplest ways of introducing coding.
So is block coding more like a drag drop?
Yes, it's
Okay.
very simple, very it's a template, menu template, very self-explanatory according to the application, and it's a matter of you just being able to control the menu options as you create whatever it is that it's in your mind.
Got it. So let me ask you a question, Rohit. Are we defining STEM just as computer language, or is there more to STEM than that?
It's a pretty common misconception. When you talk about STEM, a lot of people will end up talking about technology and coding specifically, because that's the most popular portion of STEM that you see in programs right now. That's the highest demand. But when it comes to STEM, you have science, which is the broadest category there. So that includes physics, biology, chemistry, astronomy, architecture, zoology. It includes all those different sciences,
Yep.
and they need to be included in that as well.
Yep. Science, technology, engineering, and math, right? And now we got this new thing. I don't know how long it's been around, which is STEAM, which is now we include the arts. And even with that, the inclusiveness of the arts is just not music, it's the arts, right? And so STEAM packs a pretty big punch, right? Of so many things to get our young people involved in, right? And here's the other thing about STEM, and I just did some 30 seconds research before we sat down in these chairs today. And it says African Americans represent 9% of the STEM field. So that's a pretty big gap. And that's one of the things that we're trying to help do within our inner city schools, definitely within our public schools, is that how do we help bridge that gap? And there was another statistic that I read, that people of color represent 29%, and in that 29% was also Asian, right? And I find that almost hard to believe, right? That, that it's 29% would be that low. But that just lets us know that we have a lot of work to do. To make sure that everyone has the equal right to not just education, but specifically, as we discussed, STEM education, right? Here's something I want to talk about, right? Because sometimes when we talk about offering a mechanic class or a robotics class or a coding class, the feedback from people is, well, I don't want to be a computer engineer, or I don't want to be a mechanic. What's your response when someone says something like that to you about taking a STEM class or one of your robotics class? Woo! My tongue. What just happened? Right? That was my verbal coding language, right? I was talking to a computer. What is your response to people when they say, "Hey, I don't want to do this for a living"?
Well, you really got to get to know your audience, and so when you get to know the audience and you understand, okay, so you don't see yourself as like, say, for example, a coder or a programmer, right? But I'm sure there's other things that you like, right? So like maybe it's music or something like that, right? Or maybe it's flight. Well, STEM, literally, it can comply with any subject, you understand? So basically, if I wanted to be into music, one of the projects that we're gonna be working with is associating music and technology and mixing those two together and coming together to do some great stuff.
Right.
Don't wanna give too much of that because that's a project that we wanna work on together. But again, when you educate the people of how far STEM goes, then people understand, okay, so I don't have to be a programmer. I don't have to be a mathematician. I don't have to be an engineer to still be a part of STEM. Yeah. When I came into the aviation industry through as it being a part of STEM, I think it was the experience that captured me. And one of the things that we focus on a lot is giving that experience to capture and inspire through the experience. And again, showing a student that's never seen an Arduino set or something like what we just saw earlier, and having them complete it from A through Z and seeing that sight on their face that they actually just did something that was STEM. That's just the door. That's the way you open the door, to see that and to show them that they are capable of doing that. Once they feel that motivation and that inspiration, you grab that and then you introduce them to a more broader aspect of the industry. Absolutely.
Have you run into that where some of your students say, "Hey, well, I don't really want to be a coder. Why am I doing this? I don't really want to be a computer scientist. Why am I learning about different parts of a computer? I don't want to be a computer engineer."
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of students at that age aren't really thinking about their future necessarily in middle school. In high school, that's when you start thinking about college and what you want to do for work. But what I liken it to is people that play sports. The amount of people that are on a team that aren't actually interested in going pro, but play because they enjoy it. They enjoy the camaraderie, enjoy sportsmanship, they enjoy the competition.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aspects to it that they can get out of from it.
Right.
So I would encourage the students to think about it as simply something that you're trying to see what you can get out of it.
Yeah, that's a good approach, right? See if you even like it or not, right? Right.
You never know, because
Yeah.
talent can come from anywhere. So you can discover that maybe coding isn't for you, but you have a gift with 3D design and you're good at mechanical design.
Yeah. If I can add to what you both are saying, I also look at it as independent living skill. So, you know, I'm older than both of you gentlemen. So when I went to school, you know, we had mechanic shop, learning how to work on cars. We had wood shop. We had home economics, learning how to cook. We had electric class, learning about electricity, and there was pottery class. There was just so many different things. And we didn't take those classes because we wanted to be any of those things. It was, first of all, part of the requirement. But now I can fix some basic electrical stuff in my house. You know, I know how to change a tire. I know how to jump a car, you know, those type of things because of, so now by taking STEM, I see it the same way.
Right.
You know, like now I can change a RAM chip in my computer, or I can do some basic coding, no matter what I want to do. And it was just also now setting me up for the whole AI world, right? So like, so I guess, and I'm going to look in this camera now and speak to anybody that's listening who may have been like, hey, you know what, I'm turned off. I'm not a tech person. I don't want to do STEM. It's not about that. It's really about you learning enough that you have enough independent living skills that you can help solve your own problems. And I will also add that it changes your way of thinking. The more you know, then you have more options. You say, hey, well, based on what I know about STEM, I can solve this problem this way. No difference than the project we had here earlier, the Project Poop. She went to a tech perspective because of what she knew about tech, and wanted to solve a simple problem like that. So don't be turned off. Don't be afraid. As we say, don't be scared, right? This is really not difficult. It's actually a really, really fun thing that you can do, all right? What is the biggest, and we probably just talked about it, but what would you say the biggest misconception about STEM?
The biggest misconception about STEM is the difficulty levels. I think the intimidation of people that have never been introduced when they hear the word STEM, I think, again, they see it as perhaps the first time that I heard the word code and all these numbers popped up in my head. And I think it's more of that. That's the biggest misconception. The fact that I think that people attribute the word STEM to the word hard. And I think, and that's for me the biggest misconception.
Yes.
When you explore it, and you identify what the extent of STEM is, it's amazing, it's broad, it's beautiful, and it's easy. And that's the whole thing. We're here to deliver that experience. So for you to understand it, whether you're at a grade of somebody who's being educated, or if you're an educator, when you come and join our program, we show you how to deliver that experience, to feel that experience, to understand what STEM is and how broad it is. And when you realize that, I mean, you really truly understand that the future, technology is the future, and you're a part of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you would agree. That is probably the biggest misconception, is that, you know, I'm not smart enough. This is for another population of people. My grades aren't good enough. I can't do this. Like, throw that out the window, folks. You know, you can do it. And I think the way to do that, so my next question would be, well, how do you meet kids where they are? How do you meet them where they are, and then you take them to where they want to be? I'm going to ask you first, I'm going to ask you second, because I know you work in the middle school.
Yes.
You got kids who are coming to you because it's third period. Not because I signed up for it. This is one of my classes. I love that, right? Or be kids learning. So like, there may be some kids in your class who I do Minecraft, or I do some Scratch programming prior to coming in, so I got some basics. And there's another kid who's, like we talked about earlier, I know I'm gonna fail this class because I don't do this. Like, so how do you meet kids where they are?
So as an instructor, it is your job to kind of observe the room, to see where you could categorize people by levels, and so you could understand what kind of message you're going to deliver. The overall, I think, message to the general public before you can start categorizing people, again, is if you give them the examples of that experience, I think that's the biggest impact for them. And then when they see that, everybody, like when I take one of my robots that I've built and I start the lesson off by demonstrating the capabilities of the robot, every single kid in that room says, I can do that. So we start there, like by showing them that this is something that you can do. And then you break down the process. You break down this process into two processes, a programming and an engineering part of it. And so you break it down and you show them those broken down aspects. So now they see the final result. They say, I do that. I want to do that. Then you subcategorize it. They're like, oh, this is easier than I thought. Now you've grabbed their attention. And then once you start working with the students, you're able to see at what capacity they are. So it lets you kind of sort out where you want to take who. But for the most part, you give them a general aspect of what it is, the end result, and inspire them and motivate them to want to get there. And then from there, really, like, does it really matter what your skill level is? I already got your attention. You want to do this because this is what we have. We have STEM. So you see that smile that just came on your face? It comes on every child's face when we introduce them the way that we do. For us, it's about the experience. It's not about just the intricate part of it. That's what when you look at a big picture and it looks amazing, it's the detail, right? So we show you the big picture, and then you create the detail.
Let me park it there for a second, because you said something I think is very critical, very important. And this is for any teacher that may be listening to the podcast. It's your passion. So if you approach any class like it's fun, it's great, you're having a ball, you love it, it's contagious. Kids love it. So, and you know, I know the question is how you meet kids where they are, but sometimes if you treat this like it's a class, here's the lesson, test is gonna be in 6 weeks, who wants to be a part of that experience? But if your experience is like, yo, it's fun, wait till you guys see how this connects. Oh man, I can't wait to see you guys' faces when you learn how this arm moves. Kids buy into that, people buy in. Thinking about kids, think about yourself. What kind of learning environment would you like to be in? You want to be where people are passionate, they love what they do. And I think that is huge. So I want to make sure we didn't gloss over that. So I think all us teachers, every now and then, we got to soul check ourselves and ask ourselves, are we making that class as fun, as inviting as it can possibly be, right? So same question to you though, like how do you, because you teach multiple levels here on Saturday, everything from beginning coding to coding robotics and to advanced coding, like how do you meet a kid where they are?
For me, I find that different levels with students falls down to confidence is a big part of it. I think that when it comes to STEM, because of how rules driven it is, because if you learn the information once, it applies everywhere. So building the confidence to say, I've learned this and I can use what I've learned to do this. And say, okay, I've done this. Now I can move the next step and say, hey, I can do that. This is the next step. I can go to the next step. Building that confidence to put that one foot in front of the other and actually be able to take the steps is the hardest part. Because every student comes into the class with a different level of belief that they can do what they're doing. Like you said, there's that one student that thinks they're going to fail the class. There's another student that thinks they're going to ace it.
Right.
But it's your problem or your job as a teacher in both cases to prove them wrong.
Right.
You want to prove the one that thinks they're going to fail that they can actually do it.
Right.
And you want to prove to the kid that is going to ace the class that it's not that easy.
It's not that easy, right? Good stuff. So do me a favor, stay right there with you, and can you talk to the audience about what we offer here on Saturdays for STEM?
Sure. So we have 3 different classes that we offer. We have an intro to coding class and intermediate coding class that are both from 10:30 to 12:30. And then we have Codebotics from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. The intro to coding classes, as the name suggests, are fully coding oriented. In the intro to class, it's scratch coding. So it's block coding, drag and drop. They're going to make games. They're going to make little programs that manipulate sprites and do skits and things like that. And then intermediate coding is where they actually apply coding to the real world. So the projects that we're working on right now is twofold. There's one that is an automatic watering system for agriculture room. So basically, there's a sensor that goes into the soil, and if it's too dry, it automatically pumps water into the plant. The purpose of that is to automate the process so it makes it easier, but also makes it more efficient because you're only using as much water as you need. The other project is automatic fish feeding. So it's a little canister that drops food into the fish tank at 12 o'clock every single day. and it dispenses the perfect amount of food every single time. There's no chance of overfeeding or underfeeding the fish. And it's a very interesting application of coding. And there is engineering involved in that, so the students had to 3D print some stuff. There's electrical circuits involved, so we had to use chips and wiring and to create very, very complex circuits to control everything.
Yeah.
And they learned a lot about how to apply coding, not just on the computer, but in the real world.
Yeah.
Because a lot of coding classes, you end up with students that are all sitting behind the computer screen and staring at text.
Right.
And not necessarily engaging with it.
Right.
So bringing that into the real world is
right. So we like to call this applicable learning or applied learning, right?
Right.
And for those of us who've never had the opportunity to come to our humble abode, Renaissance Youth Center, if you go upstairs to our second floor, we have a zoology room. And in the zoology room is fitted with fish and reptiles and really cool stuff that engage kids. So when you're talking to kids about pH level and nitrate level, it just numbers until you have to have that pH level at a certain level to keep that, a specific fish alive. Now pH means something, right? So we have that room. Then next to that, we have an agriculture room where we have hydroponics, aquaponics, soil-based planting, towers in the room, which is, and in this, I'm gonna get through this first. And then the next room is architecture design, which we take everything from the Stone Age all the way around the room, from the Roman Empire, the Egyptian, boom, to what does the world look like 100 years from now? And it got our kids kind of thinking like, let's create something, right? And then we have astronomy in the next room, and then across the hall there, we have coding and robotics. So I want to also give an action item to everybody that's listening. So if you live in this Bronx community and you have an expertise or some knowledge in any of these areas, I always tell people don't take the knowledge with you. Come volunteer. Come volunteer for any one of those rooms we just mentioned, whether it's astronomy or whether it's zoology or any of those things. But I gave that little tour to talk about your young people. So now you guys go to room,
right,
like techs, like we're here. This is where critical thinking and knowledge comes in. Like, what do you need me to build? Well, can you build me an automatic feeder? Yeah, well, we need something to water our plants. And I don't even know, what are you doing in the astronomy room? Have you guys come up with something yet for that?
We're working on creating a physics demonstration that shows how space-time bends.
Oh, with the black hole.
With the black hole, right.
Yeah. Got it. So case in point, right? So your kids learn the knowledge, once again, not just to learn it, but now I got a way of applying it, right? So if you're out there, you're in the community, you're around about, and we take kids from Harlem, Bronx, Brooklyn, they come from all over because there's such unique programming here. Get your kids involved. Send them here. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Tutoring is free. We also have music class. We have 450 kids here on Saturday taking music lessons. So this is definitely the place to be. So we're going to close this out, but before we close, I'm going to give these guys some last thoughts. And so what would you like to leave the audience with?
I'm very excited to be here, be a part of this team. I also want to let anybody who wants to partner up with us, whether you're somebody who wants to become an instructor, whether you want to learn about STEM, or whether you want to partner up with us as far as curriculum in school or after school programs. The best thing that I think about us is that because of our team and our skill level, we're able to adapt to any situation that we walk into. So say, for example, you're a school that has an existing program or existing products. When you come to us, we consult you. We figure out the best products for your students, and we consult you in order to get you the best program for your school. So whether it's your school, your after school program, or your educational level, we have the right team to consult you in order to get you the right program for your school. No matter what level you're on, we'll get you up to speed. So
give us a call.
Absolutely.
Give us a call. Last word, sir.
I just want to leave everyone with the fact that, the world is changing at a rapid pace, with the AI boom, with the way technology is moving. It's ever more important that we prepare our youth to be ready to take on those challenges for the future. AI specifically, we use that in class. We use ChatGPT all the time to start with our coding. We use it as a tool. I want kids to actually understand how it works so they can use it. It's important for them, even if they're not going to go down the line and work in STEM. Just being literate in STEM will allow them to be a more well-rounded individual and be more successful in life.
Awesome. Big shout out to Broadcom again. I got to always Shout out Paula, Marie, and the rest of the team. We wouldn't be here talking about STEM to this level without you, so we appreciate that. Also, the team is a little bit larger. We're missing some other teachers and stuff. Saudia, how are you? Low key, what up? Rick is behind the camera right now, but Rick also teaches some coding and stuff with us here on Saturdays. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, stay tuned. There's a lot more coming, but if you want more information specifically about STEM, reach out. Really about anything, whether it's music, whatever. We can do these services in your school or get your kids in here to the Renaissance Youth Center. All right, always in parting, make sure you love yourself. All right, you got any love left over? Send it on over here. All right, take care.
Welcome to the Mr. Harris Show. 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 It's called The Journey.